So hey everyone, I'm Tom Coleman, this is Tim Hingston. You may have seen us do talks here before. We were supposed to do a talk last meetup about a watch app, but we reneged on that because I got the dates wrong. Apologies about that. But as it turned, we were going to do it this month, but as it turns out, some developments happened in the meantime, and we thought people might be more interested in this story than the watch story. We promised to do the watch talk eventually. Can't say exactly when. A few other priorities in the meantime, but
watch out for it.
Watch out for it. We will. We will. So anyway, yes, this talk is about Percolate Studio, which was us, joining MDG, the Meteor Development Group. You'll notice that Tim has a special hoodie. But this is...
Did you get one of them?
San Francisco.
So have you been assimilated?
We have. We are belong to MDG.
So, as I said, my name's Tom Coleman, Tim these days, on various forms of social media. Tim Hingston, Tim Botnick, look us up. So, yeah, I'm going to tell you a little story. Not really going to have any code today. Sorry about that, but hopefully the story will be interesting. So this is us, or at least on the right, me and Tim. This is Percolate Studio. Was Percolate Studio. We were a company that clearly specialised in making animated GIFs, but we also did a few other things. We consisted of myself and Tim here in Melbourne, and Zoltan and Dominic in San Francisco. Some of you may have met Zol and Dom before when they've been out. Many of you may not have, but hopefully you'll get a chance sometime soon. And as you may or may not know, as it's been announced publicly, we've now joined Meteor Development Group. So let's talk a little bit about that story, and we'll start with what happened. Percolate and who we are, or who we were. So apart from a GIF making company, we're a boutique digital agency. So we built web apps, basically, and mobile apps. We really always had a strong emphasis on design and user experience. So we tried to do things properly. And we did most of our projects in Meteor. So a lot of you would have seen me giving talks here on various subjects on Meteor. We've been doing it, as close as possible since the beginning. I've been representing Percolate at this meetup since number 1. This is 21, so it's been a while. A few projects that we've done that you might have heard of. Atmosphere, which appeared in the previous talk and was pretty fast actually, I was happy about that. The package manager for Meteor, which Percolate did. A long story which I've told before, so I won't tell now, but Percolate did as our own project, kind of because it needed to be done, and is now the place to go and look up Meteor packages. Hopefully you guys enjoy using it when you need to find packages. Another app that you might have heard of is Verso. Certainly been a lot of talks at this meetup about Verso because, as we've seen, Verso is one of the sponsors of the meetup, and Stu's done quite a few talks, and Rob's done one as well, at least one. And Verso is a native mobile, well, not native, it's a web app, it's a Meteor app, but it's wrapped in Cordova, as we've heard about in the last talk. So this is an app. There's no Chrome here. It's all inside a native app container, and it's an education app, which I can't really go into what it is, but check it out sometime. And thirdly, the app you might have seen are the Meteor example apps, which we built for MDG last year for the 1.0 release. So you might have seen the local market app, or the to-dos app, or even the redesigned leaderboard app that we did. So during that process of building the example apps for MDG, obviously we had a pretty close relationship with them, and we've been involved with them for a long time now. So one thing led to another. So what was the situation? What is the situation, and why did Percolate and Meteor? Why did it make sense? So, Meteor up until now really has been a research and development company. If you're not aware of the story of like what's going on with Meteor, where does this framework come from? MDG, the Meteor Development Group, is a startup with venture capital funding. It's in San Francisco. So they've been around for 4 years now. They started in 2011, I think. And they've been, or we, I guess, but they, because this is before we joined, have been squirreling away building this framework, doing the best possible job of the framework that we all now know and love, hopefully, or most of us do. And really it's been an R&D problem. There hasn't been a lot of commercial side to things. They have done a really great job of building a community. We're all here now at one of, I'm not sure, 30 meetups worldwide. Last year in October, the 1.0 Worldwide Meteor Day, there was some ridiculous number of people at meetups. So the community the community team at Meteor have done an incredible job. But really, it's an open source project with a community around it. The company does need to be commercialized, and the company needs to support professional users. So, in order for Meteor MDG as a company to make money, they need companies using Meteor to make money, who are making money. And then it will make sense for some of that value to drip down to the actual hosting platform. So Meteor needs to support the professional users. And also, as the years gone by, they don't really have a lot of real-world app development experience. They've been hacking away on this framework for 4 years. That's what they do. They've got the funding. They don't need to build apps. So they've been able to focus on the framework, but that's also meant that they don't necessarily know too much about how you build an app in Meteor. And I guess the other point I'd make is that Meteor is in an incredible position. So Stu sent out an email with a mention of Jeff's talk Jeff, the CEO of Meteor's talk that he did at DevShop just last week. And if you haven't seen it, I highly encourage you to watch it. If you're not excited about Meteor, it will get you excited about Meteor, because Meteor is really the only company out there that's trying to be a JavaScript application platform. And if you read the tea leaves, that's what we need. That's what's going to happen. There will be a JavaScript application platform. I don't know who else it's going to be. It may be someone else, but right now, I don't know who else. So, Meteor is taken to a really good spot, but needs to move into the next phase of commercialization. What about Percolate? Well, we built the example apps, as we've seen. We have a lot of experience building, deploying, and supporting large-scale Meteor apps. We're leading contributors in the Meteor community. I guess Atmosphere is one example of that. And we're really familiar with the gaps in the development experience of using Meteor. We've been using it since basically day one. We have a lot of experience working with customers to build these apps. Verso, I guess, being the example of that. So maybe what this picture is trying to draw is how we're kind of a good fit to help them with the next stage of the company. And what is that next stage of the company? Meteor Customer Success.
Before I get into my section here, I just wanted to also just sort of say congratulations officially to Percolate, has now been acquired by MDG, which is really exciting, and I really haven't had that much to do with it, just kind of joining the party as it's happening. So just sort of... So what is Percolate going to do now that we are part of MDG? And this whole conglomeration of people will now be part of Meteor as their department called Customer Success. And Zoltan, who I don't know if some of you probably know Zol, he's in San Francisco, and he will be kind of heading up this department as the director of Customer Success at MDG. And all of us are sort of jointly, behind him and pushing it forward and contributing lots of stuff and getting lots of feedback from all of you guys. So the idea with customer success, obviously, we want customers to succeed, right? That's the basic approach. But what are we actually going to do to make that happen? Obviously, we want to be able to go out there and help people that are building Meteor apps in the real world, having real-world problems, scaling issues, architectural issues, not quite sure where to put this, that, or the other piece of their app. And the idea here is that there's going to be an official place to go to get help for this. So we're going to be essentially chartering the first official support system at Meteor, I think, aside from forums and things like that. So there will be a real SLA, a real agreement with the customers that come to us and join this thing that's being called the Meteor Developer Subscription. So that's basically the product that will be launching through customer success. So through this process, we're expecting to go out there, talk to a lot of people. We have our own sort of learnings that we've obtained through doing apps at Percolate, but of course, there's a lot more apps out there in the world and a lot more things that we haven't done and tried. So we'd like to get the story from people who are doing it and figure out where the pain points are, bring that back inside to the platform team and really take a look at what things can be improved and how we can improve them. Look at the patterns that are emerging throughout the chatter and really bring back some nuggets of truth to show the platform team what needs to happen, right? And of course, bringing that to the table will hopefully improve the platform, make it better. Everybody will be happy that they're using it, and we start the process over again and just iterate on that. And that's kind of the idea with customer success, to do a lot of listening and to get really involved with boots on the ground people building apps. So yeah, it's basically paid support at Meteor. So that's a pretty big thing. An actual SLA commitment. So that along with Meteor Developer Subscription, you've got a commitment that Meteor will be there to help you when times get tough. And on top of that is also an option called the architectural review. This is, as described here, on-site deep dive. Send a highly skilled Meteor expert out to work with you and take a look at your app, figure out what things you're doing right, what things you're not doing right, or what things could be done better. Maybe solve some performance problems. A lot of people writing Meteor apps will eventually run into some performance problems, so it's pretty helpful to have someone who's been there before. And of course, early access to some Meteor tools that we're going to be building, which are going to help diagnose some of these problems. And that's customer success. One of the other things that we're going to be heavily involved in, which is coming soon to a theater near you, is this idea of Galaxy. Do you want to touch on Galaxy?
So MDG has been talking about Galaxy since the beginning. Galaxy is, for those of you who don't know, the real commercialization of Meteor. So the Meteor Developer Subscription does involve money changing hands, but it's not where MDG is going to make their money. It's Galaxy. And Galaxy is a hosting platform for Meteor. It's in very heavy development right now. What Galaxy will enable you to do is host your Meteor app in a very turnkey way. It's going to be really great. It's going to be the best. I think it's clearly going to be the best way to host your Meteor app. And I guess I don't have too much to say about it beyond that. As the customer success team, not only are we heavily involved in building the thing, but we're going to be the front line of rolling out Galaxy to customers and supporting them in their use of Galaxy. So another way that we'll do that, another way that would be even better is in combination with a developer subscription. We'll really be in a position to offer the best possible experience for a customer that wants to build a successful Meteor app.
So would Galaxy be available in multiple countries? or just hosted in the States? Or?
Eventually, I think we'll see Galaxy with a wide range of hosting options. So it's really software to help you host.
Because for some of your customers, the political boundaries will make a
Definitely, yeah, definitely. I'm not sure if we'll see that in the first version of Galaxy, but it's definitely something. Galaxy isn't tied to the long-term plan of Galaxy is certainly not tied to a particular hosting provider or a particular premises, I suppose.
Would it be on top of Amazon?
That's what we'll see.
Yeah, so the first version of Galaxy will be on top of Amazon, but that won't be the final version of Galaxy.
In fact, for some people, that might actually be a bonus that it is on top of Amazon.
Sure, definitely. But there are lots of alternatives. We'll see what happens. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to say when any particular thing's going to happen because I certainly don't know. But, anyway, that sort of wraps up what we have to say. But we're very happy to take questions and love to hear the questions.
So that architecture stuff, is that sort of once an app's built, or is that is it available sort of pre the building of an app? So
The architectural review?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't have to be once the app's built. Right now, it's only available to people who have a developer subscription. So, yeah, that's the only caveat, I guess. But it certainly makes sense to do an architectural review when you're in the planning stage. Probably the best time to do it, really.
So, sorry, I guess I can go on the website, but just as you
Sure.
hear. So the developer subscription, we're about to start building in Meteor at work, and we've kind of started. But so with the subscription, do we get a set number of hours of support, or do we get? How does it work exactly?
So, how can I make this come back? I don't know. Anyway, we'll probably skip forward somehow. Someone knows how to use Keynote. I just wanted to get this up. So, I believe if you look at the website, the current commitment of the developer subscription is to respond to any question within 1 business day, and to escalate queries to the core team where that's appropriate. Now, I think at this point in time, when we're still learning about how it all works, we've only started with our very first MDS customers very recently. There's no caps on things until we work out how much of our time it requires, what it costs us. I think eventually we will see that, but at the moment I don't think there's any specification on that.
So is there just one price tier then? There's no...
The pricing is subject to the complexity of your application. It's not something that's advertised.
If it hasn't been built and you want the architectural review in advance.
Well, I don't know. Yeah, so I suppose it would depend on how complex the thing you're planning on building is. I wouldn't be. I'm not the person to answer that question. We have a sales team now that would speak to about that. The thing that I would say about the Meteor Developer subscription is, although at the moment, we're really looking at rolling it out to sort of the larger end of our customers, because we're still learning how it works and the best way to do it. I think all Meteor developers, especially those that are running businesses on Meteor, will benefit from it, because one of our key priorities as a customer success team is to take the things that we learn from talking to customers and not just feeding them back into the framework, but building a knowledge base of common answers to questions, building tools to help people solve the problems that they run into. And we've mentioned this with early access, but certainly they'll become generally available when it's appropriate. And so these things should flow through, given time, to the entire community, and that's something we're really focused on, because our customers are really, if we're interested in the success of our customers, it's not just the customers that can afford to pay for an MDS. It's just that, is obviously our focus right now.
Do you have teams in every country, or how are you going to support on site?
That's a really good question. I think realistically, at the moment, the on-site deep dive would be in San Francisco or potentially here in Melbourne. Somewhere, let's say somewhere in America or somewhere in Australia.
We have someone in Tel
Probably
Aviv, maybe there's an option
Perhaps there is a Europe option. We do have people throughout the world. The customer success team right now is in Melbourne and San Francisco. This is one of the things that we'll have to learn. I think as a Silicon Valley-based company, MDG is pretty focused on the Valley. I mean, there are plenty of people to talk to and do on-site deep dive for over there. So, potentially on-site is negotiable if necessary. But
can I ask?
That would get to
You've said architectural review.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like a one-day free consulting included in your annual. Is it? Or
the architectural review, I believe, would be an additional cost on top of the MDS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
With the focus on Galaxy and commercialization within Meteor itself, what does that mean for the frameworks roadmap?
Well, how does Galaxy impact on the frameworks roadmap?
Is that going to divert resources or change the momentum in terms of the development of the framework? I guess a bunch of people have kind of invested in the framework here.
I don't think any reason why the framework development would slow down. I mean, if looking at the Galaxy team right now, there's not really, the Meteor team is growing and has grown a lot in the last 6 months, even on the engineering side. So I think that the core team is larger than it was before the Galaxy project started. So
1.2 is looking like a large release.
1.2 is a big release. Potentially there should have been an intermediate release, but this is the way the cookies crumble. And there's a lot of exciting projects going on. So there will be some features that come back to core from Galaxy. I'm not sure exactly when we'll see it, but there'll definitely be some stuff around rolling updates and doing them in a really nice manner via Galaxy or by some other system that works the same way. But I think, Core is, doing its thing, and Galaxy is doing its thing to a large degree.
Yeah. I mean, I just see it as like something that's going to be a good feedback loop, to have, a real ops team who's driving like real world issues up the line to hey, we've got these problems, and it's just going to make the framework better.
And we're already seeing some feedback from us on that perspective of ops into the core team. As you know, we've had some.
I guess I was thinking more like sometimes when an open source company sort of starts doing the commercialization, some people at a high level go, shit, is the open source big?
I don't get that sense. No,
I mean, concern that I guess I have, but I thought other people.
Yeah, I definitely don't get that sense that everyone is It's certainly not true that everyone is working on Galaxy.
I look at it a bit like Node.js and Pivotal. So if you think about Node.js, that sits out wherever, and Pivotal certainly have a commercial hosting platform that they'll happily sell you. But
do you mean Join?
Often the IOJS, etc. So I don't think the community will let us.
Yeah. Well, there's plenty of focus in the company towards the platform still.
So just a question on Galaxy. Will that be available to third-party hosting providers around the world?
So like the gentleman over here asked, I think yes, I think so eventually. It's hard to predict the future. There's certainly plans for that.
Yeah.
The first version of Galaxy will be on AWS.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because if you look at hosting options, I mean, there are so many hosting providers that do Apache or whatever flavor you want, all kinds of tools, WordPress, anything you want, you can plug in and buy, and it's a commodity. Whereas to get a Node.js application hosted, you've got to look hard,
right?
And you've got to find, and if this is a way of opening that up.
Well, I think the thing that you'll find with Galaxy is like a lot of stuff with Meteor, it's an order of magnitude easier than other solutions. And as Jeff alluded to in the talk I mentioned earlier, Meteor aims to provide that streamlined experience where there's a right way to do everything. Whereas I guess in a node world, you do tend to have to put the pieces together yourself, and that includes the ops side of things.
Sorry. Oh, sorry.
Sorry, yeah.
Sorry, yeah. How's this going to affect you personally? I imagine it's got you pretty busy. So do you think updates to Discover Meteor might be a bit few?
That's a really good question, actually. That's something that I'm still trying to sort out. I think the answer is that it's really beneficial for MDG, for Discover Meteor to exist and for it to be up to date.
Absolutely.
And for it to, until something better comes along.
Even when something, keep it up to date.
Sorry,
I'd be happy to hear if they're paying you to keep it up to date.
They won't pay me to keep it up to date, but they may allow me. I think they'll allow me time to keep it up to date, if that makes sense. That detail is obviously between me and them. I don't really know yet. But I plan on keeping it up to date. I think, and I think certainly, for the short term, that will happen. In the longer term, as the framework changes, and inevitably it will, then it may be a little harder, but I hope to do so. Yeah.
So I was going to ask, so today when you're making a Meteor app and you can deploy to meteor.com.
Yes.
And it's just so simple. It's just
yes.
Brilliant. So will Galaxy be similar to that or
yes.
something? Right.
Yes. Galaxy will be essentially the same.
Is there going to be a free tier on Galaxy?
Yes. I guess it depends what you mean. What exists right now could be seen as the free tier of Galaxy, and that won't be going away.
So, do you now charge in US dollars?
Personally, I'm not available. Sorry, Daz, you had a question?
Yes, Percolate yourself and the team. You sort of the answer. How does that change? And what do you guys do? You as the builders, building applications and sort of forging your way into the depths of Meteor
yes.
and the frontiers by doing that. What happens now? You're more sort of retrospectively people, and how does it answer what you guys actually want?
I think that there's two sides to that. One is what we want, we do like building apps, but also how do we maintain this useful role as people that know what it's like to build apps on Meteor? Because the worst thing that could happen from our perspective would be for us to become disconnected and haven't really built an app for a year and listening to our customers but not really empathizing with them around their problems and telling the framework people stuff but not really understanding. So right now it's Galaxy. That's the app we're working on. There are a bunch more apps, internal and external to Meteor, that need building. And whether we have time to do that or whether we're so busy with Galaxy and customer success that we can't, we'll see. But we'll definitely be building apps. Yeah. I don't think we can do our job if we don't.
Yeah. Do you feel that offering this support agreement is something that they want? That an enterprise is seeing that as a plus?
I think so. I think that's one of the key drivers of it. Feeding back information from customers into the framework is really important, but I think
so they may not have used Meteor if they didn't have that.
I think that safety belt or safety net is really important to companies.
They need to feel they're going to pay for something.
Yeah, there are plenty of good Meteor consulting shops that you can go to out there and ask these questions, but it's not going to be the same, is it? You could have asked Percolate and we would have answered questions, but we wouldn't have been able to tap one of the core developers on the shoulder and say, hey, what's up with this? I don't understand what's going on.
You get translate to a bug fix pretty easily from your SLA.
I imagine. We haven't had that situation come up yet, but yeah, if a bug in the framework that needs addressing comes up, I imagine it will get fixed pretty quickly.
The guys on one of the Meteor podcasts recently were saying that they had a client that needed, as part of the gig, they had to have an introduction to MDG.
Right.
And say, well, there isn't anyone at MDG we can talk to until.
Right. Yeah. Like I mentioned on the earlier slide, until relatively recently, and MDG was really an inwardly focused. They had a community, but in terms of a commercial company, they were an R&D company. They didn't really have resources devoted to professional clients, and that has changed. There's a sales team now, there's a business development team now, and there's a customer success team now.
And just, I can sort of, the strategy is right, because I can tell you, we work for a large federal government agency, and while the new tech stack we're putting together, it had to be like royalty free, so it had to be open source.
Right.
But the key bits for us were that there was an infrastructure in Australia, well, that's imperative, and that there was a support mechanism that we could engage with if and when we wanted to. So it's absolutely the right way to go.
Yeah.
And if you don't go that way, you're just not wrong.
Yeah.
You're not going to commercialise it.
So the good news for you is that enterprises don't care what the cost of that support is.
Well,
they do care. They don't if they're building an app that's going to be widely used. They don't care spending $15,000 if it's going to be some app used by all Australians.
Oh yeah,
many banks,
at small numbers.
Yeah, it's trivial compared to the total cost of that.
So it's absolutely the right way to go.
Yeah.
So many bank using Meteor.
Oh, I don't know. Just make it up so that everybody come with it.
Yeah, and the MDS isn't the way that Meteor is going to pay their investors back. This is just...
That's a tick in the box, right?
Well, it is, but it's also a really important feedback loop. I don't think that's lost on anyone. Yeah.
Will the knowledge base be widely available, or just to...
No, the knowledge base will be widely available. Eventually. I mean, we have to build it first. We have to,
Yeah.
I'm not sure when, but yeah.
From that point of view, you point to best practice recommendations there. I guess one of the key questions is there, sort of any idea in terms of time frame as to recommendations around architecture and whatnot. So for MDG themselves to be able to start saying this is what we believe best practice looks like versus all the other conflicting opinions out there, and will that then feed back into the framework becoming more opinionated over time?
Yes. I think the answer to that question is yes. I don't know. Can't tell you how quickly that will happen, but it's a very strong personal goal of mine and Zoltan's and Tim's. I mean, as Percolate, that was something that we always felt needed to happen, and we are in MDG advocating for that every day.
This is like a reference architecture or something.
Just some more opinions, yeah.
More like we get asked to say, build a machine layer, this enterprise architectural logic, make this system, work with that system,
Right.
this, provide this interface, and then provide some sort of utilities that are in language interface application. And then sometimes that generates really nice sort of apps out of it, or application interfaces. And sometimes it's more just generic goddamn programming that links business logic together. Does Meteor see as the opinionated framework? Generally, it's still play part there.
I mean, I think I think the answer to that question is probably at this point in time, in a future world, Meteor plays, DDP is the bus that everyone talks over, and at the other end could be anything. I mean, in the current world, I think the answer to that is yes, Meteor would love to, have support for X, Y, Z, but can only support X, right? Like, there's only so much that can be done. But the thing that maybe has been less clear than it should have is that Meteor is built on Node. You can use anything that's out there for Node in Meteor. It may not be quite as smooth an experience, but it's not going to be a less smooth experience than building your own Node app and using that tool. So I think that's something that Meteor will get better at, is that integration, the embracing of what JavaScript is right now. And I think if you ask my personal opinion, the answer is that when Meteor started in 2011, the JavaScript community was a mess. And so to a large degree, Meteor was a little more insular about the way it did things. Now a lot of patterns are developing in the JavaScript community, things like Node and things like Webpack and things like various front-end tools. And so Meteor is really, I think you'll see in the 1.2 release, there's a big movement towards embracing what's out there in the community. And so hopefully, to in the short term or the medium term, maybe even the long term, the answer is JavaScript. Everyone else who's using JavaScript is contributing to Meteor just because Meteor plays nicely in the JavaScript world.
When's 1.2 out?
I'm not sure exactly. It's started.
6 months, a year, 2 weeks.
I think you could only look at previous releases. There is a preview out for it right now. It's not yet an RC, so it tends to be a few weeks after an RC comes out, especially for a big release like this. So
2 months, 1 to 2 months.
that would probably be an educated guess. I don't actually know the answer. I don't think anyone does, but I don't know what the unofficial answer is either. Yeah.
That's months rather than multi 6, 12 months.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure.
History. I was just going to say, if you go into the Meteor GitHub repo, they have a file for history, and they maintain like what they're working on and what's also coming in.
Yeah.
So you can, I just jump on there every now and then, check it out, and like sort of get a gauge on what they're probably working on.
I think there aren't really any more features coming in 1.2 that aren't built yet. I think it's a big release and they're cleaning it up.
It says on the Meteor.com it will ship later this summer. Assuming they're in the northern summer, they're running out of time.
Yeah, it's 1 month. I'm not sure about that. We'll see.
I like the idea of Meteor being a part of the standards community a bit more. It sounded like Ben at the dev shop, for anybody who watched the last week's dev shop, was really pushing for Meteor to be a part of the ECMAScript standards body and making decisions there. It would be really cool to see them join some other things that maybe could push DDP in the standards direction, where it could be something, even though Meteor itself may be focused on the JavaScript community, the DDP protocol could be something that comes out of it and is a contribution back to like the greater software ecosystem and Django community and all that kind of stuff could run with it.
I guess to give some of our feedback, some input from us. One of the reasons we're looking at it was that fundamentally it was that node comment that you kind of made. So from our perspective, we were sort of thinking it's probably a semi-safe bet in that we really haven't, we do have hundreds of thousands of node apps that we can ingest. So I think getting it more standardised.
Totally.
Absolutely. It's about building confidence.
Yeah.
Because you are new, relatively new. So
and I think we'll see that, the 1.2 release has the ES 2015 support. I believe on the roadmap after that is like proper package support, like ES 2015 style package support, which should integrate nicely with Node. And then, onwards and upwards from there, I hope. All right, I think that's it. Thanks very much, everyone.